What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with who is Islam Makhachev fighting next? After Islam Makhachev's sensational victory over Alexander Volkanovski, Dana White indicated that it made sense for the champ to compete against Charles Oliveira in his next fight, given that the two were less than 2 weeks away from competing when Oliveira suffered a cut in training. Despite that, Arman Tsarukyan recently cemented his place as a true contender in the division, with his win over Beneil Dariush. On the heels of the call-out from the streaking contender, aka head coach Javier Mendez spoke on a recent episode of his Javier Mendez podcast to discuss the lightweight title picture.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Islam is the least hit lightweight fighter, so let's see what happens. We'll see. I mean, it's too early to discuss that one per se. I'd rather discuss more the individual that we're gonna get, which will probably be Justin or Charles. When that fight happens, there's nothing yet. There's nothing on the table as far as I know. And like I always say, I don't like talking about anything until the UFC announces it. Then we can talk about it. So right now it's just baloney talk as far as I'm concerned.
While it seems clear that it will be either Oliveira or Gaethje getting a next crack at the belt, the big question is, when the champ returns to action, which of these two contenders will he face? Next up, let's take a look at Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight. When Alex Pereira joined the UFC, his status as a two-division Glory kickboxing champion fueled plenty of conversations about whether or not he could replicate the same success at both middleweight and light heavyweight in the UFC. After cementing himself as a two-division champ, Pereira's longtime friend and training partner Glover Teixeira believes that there is an opportunity to move up in pursuit of UFC history in the form of the first ever three-division champion. During a recent podcast of MMA Fighting's Portuguese-speaking Trocação Franca podcast, Teixeira spoke about the situation. It's all a process. Poatan is a disciplined professional, and that's why he managed to make 185 in the first place. It's not easy for anyone to do what he did. Few people can manage that. If he were to move up, he would change his diet and training routine outside the camp to gain mass, Teixeira said. Poatan walks around 233 pounds, and I think he can go to 246, but not over that. I think 242 would be good. Of course, before Pereira ever entertains a potential move up to heavyweight, he'll have to defend his 205-pound title in the new year. While there's been no official word on when the fight will take place, the expectation is that Pereira will make his first title defense against former champion Jamal Hill before the summer. If he continues to find success, he could look to make UFC history as the first three-division champ. Next up, let's take a look at Jon Jones should be stripped of title. Tom Aspinall's win over Sergey Pavlovich has thrown the heavyweight division into disarray. While traditionally the interim title holder would get the opportunity to compete against the champ in a title unification fight, Dana White has indicated that Aspinall will first have to wait for Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic to compete in the new year before learning what his next move will be. While many, Aspinall included, have called for Jones to be stripped given that he isn't going to return and unify the title, others like Daniel Cormier believe that Aspinall is already the heavyweight champion, given that the expectation is Jones and Miocic will both retire after their clash. During a recent sit-down with Triple C Henry Cejudo, the pair went back and forth about the situation.
He won the absolute heavyweight title, and I will tell you why.
No.
What? Are you? Hey,
how?
So, because he's not going to fight Jon Jones, and he's not going to fight Stipe Miocic. He was fighting for the heavyweight championship in New York City. Because, and you can't,
then why is it an interim title?
Don't lie, because Jones hasn't vacated. But Jones and them aren't going to fight anyone but each other.
While Cejudo defended Jones' status as a champion, later in the video, he suggested that the UFC book a bout between Aspinall and Miocic in order to keep the interim champ busy in order to set up a title unification bout when Jones is ready to return.
The way you make it right is you make Tam Aspinall put that interim title on the line with a guy like Stipe. Wait for Jon Jones to come back. The winner gets Jon Jones. But there cannot be two belts out there when you have the greatest of all time who has been proven, who has never lost to anybody.
While Aspinall has been eager to stay active, it's been unclear whether the UFC will grant his wish or keep him sidelined until after Jones and Miocic fight. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Updates. As we look ahead to another big weekend of fights, let's take a look at today's UFC Updates, starting with a new addition to the UFC's roster. After Olympic bronze medalist Robelis Despain secured his fourth straight knockout win with a 5-second finish, UFC matchmaker Mick Maynard got his manager on the phone and signed the 6'7" Cuban Taekwondo specialist. According to MMA Junkie, the UFC has officially signed the heavyweight. While there's been no word on when he'll make his UFC debut, his addition to the roster comes at an exciting time for the heavyweight division, with a number of top-ranked contenders all climbing the rankings. Shifting gears and taking a look at some changes to upcoming fight cards, reports have indicated that Alan Nascimento has been forced out of his UFC Vegas 83 fight this weekend, with Tim Elliott stepping in to fight Sumerdaji on short notice. In addition, the December 16th pay-per-view card will no longer feature a bout between Josh Emmett and Giga Chikadze after the Georgian fighter suffered an injury in training. The injury actually took place on camera, with Chikadze initially thinking that he tore his groin, writing, "It happens. Tore groin. I'll be back soon," along with the footage of the injury. In response, Josh Emmett took to social media in hopes of finding a short notice opponent, writing, "Giga's out. Who's ready December 16th? After then going to the doctor, Chikadze dropped an optimistic update, revealing that he didn't in fact tear his groin, writing, "Good news. I'm at Dr. Michael Cetera. He's saying end of January I can compete if Emmett wants to wait a month." So far, it's unclear how the UFC will proceed here. However, given that the pay-per-view card is right around the corner, it's likely that they try to find Emmett a replacement opponent rather than moving the bout to the new year. Last but certainly not least in the way of UFC updates, we have word that Melsik Bagdasaryan will fight William Gomez on February 3rd. The bout will take place at the UFC Fight Night Dolizé vs. Imavov card, where Bagdasaryan will look to build on a win over Tucker Lutz back in July, and Gomez will be looking to build on an impressive victory streak that's seen him go 3-0 inside the octagon. Next, let's take a look at Colby Covington breaks silence on Jorge Masvidal fight. When Colby Covington steps into the octagon with Leon Edwards at UFC 296, the bout will see him return from a lengthy hiatus. In his most recent outing, Covington put on a remarkable performance against Jorge Masvidal, handing his former friend his third straight loss. Of course, in the months after the win, Covington was sucker punched outside of a Miami restaurant by a man he alleged to be Masvidal. The situation forced him to the sidelines and shifted the focus from its recent win over Masvidal to the alleged attack. During a recent interview with ESPN ahead of UFC 296, the former interim champ reflected on his win over Masvidal.
It was an easy fight, 5 rounds of domination, 50-43 in a soda. You know, been big brother in that guy my whole life. He's never won a second of any round off me. So just another dominating performance, especially coming off a 3-month turnaround from beating Marty Usman in Madison Square Garden. I thought I came back and rallied and won the last 3 rounds. You know, I dropped him in the 4th. So, you know, I feel like I beat him that night.
Although Covington's victory over Masvidal came almost exactly 4 months to the day after his loss to Usman, his fight with Edwards on the 16th will come after nearly 2 years away. Despite the possibility for ring rust, the longtime contender has remained supremely confident heading into his 3rd undisputed title fight. Next, let's take a look at Stephen Thompson talks Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. At UFC 296, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will look to pick up a massive win over undefeated contender Shavkat Rakhmonov. With many looking at the Nomad as the future of the division, the MMA community has been divided in regards to who they think gets the job done in Las Vegas. On one side, Thompson has shown that even at 40 years of age, he's still without question one of the best strikers in the world. On the other, with a young and hungry contender like Rakhmonov in his path, many believe that Thompson could be in for a rough night. Ahead of the bout, he made an appearance on Submission Radio.
When they had asked to fight him before, this was like a few years ago, I said no just because I didn't know who he was. He was fairly new on the scene. I was still in the top 5, and there were guys that were more deserving of that shot than him at the time. But since then, since I first heard his name, I kept watch. I kept my eye on the guy, and the dude's a beast, man.
Given that Rakhmonov is surging up the rankings and is currently ranked 5th in the welterweight division, Thompson knows that with a victory, he could potentially find himself in a position to compete in a title eliminator. Next, let's take a look at Alexander Volkanovski breaks silence on Islam Makhachev fight. After Alexander Volkanovski's loss to Islam Makhachev, the featherweight champ left some fans concerned for his mental state after admitting he was in a dark place prior to accepting the short notice bout. Since then, he's clarified his comments, indicating that his head is exactly where it needs to be heading into his upcoming title fight with Ilia Topuria in the new year. While also reflecting on the loss to Makhachev, he spoke on the Who the Fuck Are These Guys channel.
And, you know, look, it was always a tall ask. Like, we knew that. Everyone knew that going in. You know, fighting anybody on short notice is always going to be tough. Fighting a guy like Islam is going to be, look, I still stand by my decision. you know, you could still go out there and, like, imagine if it did all go to plan, and then, you know what I mean, all of a sudden you're the man. Yeah. But you know, I've always been a big believer in preparation. You know, I've made that clear. You know, that's what's made me the man I am today. That's what's made me the champion I am. And let's be real, the preparation wasn't there. And
despite the brutal knockout, Volkanovski has made it clear that he plans to show both his critics and Ilia Topuria that his reign isn't ending anytime soon. Thanks to a team who has plenty of experience dealing with concussions, Volkanovski seems to be entering his upcoming fight feeling more confident than ever after suffering the first stoppage loss of his UFC career. The MMA community reacts to Paddy Pimblett's body transformation. Paddy recently posted on his Instagram a clip of him training on the mats. In the clip, you can see Paddy is already back to being shredded. Here's what the MMA community had to say about Paddy's transformation. Best shape Paddy's been 2 weeks out. Great to see the discipline. Love it. Gonna get that dub. Looking f***ing ripped, man. This dude can modulate his body like crazy. One day, pudgy bro eating pizza. Next day, absolutely shredded in peak form. Incredible. Looks super healthy, and like the cut won't be anything for him this go around. Well done, the UFC sacrificing yet another vet to a hungry young lion. Fuck me, you're looking in great shape, Paddy. Michael Chandler was in an altercation with Ric Flair at a bar recently. After exchanging words with each other, things got heated and Ric Flair punched Chandler. In return, Chandler slapped the legend and took him to the ground. Some fans are speculating that it's fake. One fan commented, "LOL, I believed it till Flair threw that punch." Another fan said, "He's lucky Michael Chandler's a nice guy." Top comments: "Why would anyone want to see Tate lose to Rousey a third time? No need for a trilogy. WWE can keep Rousey. No one wants to see that again anyway, LOL. Chandler is retired and doesn't even know it. Part of me feels like people are sleeping on Stipe. I think Jones wins, but I think it's more competitive than people say. And another part of me feels like Jon Jones doesn't want to risk anything and just retire after fighting Stipe because Aspinall is the real deal. They need to start making these fight offers to fighters public. Guys are turning down fights left and right, ducking certain other guys. Let it be known who's ducking who. For instance, Dustin Poirier has turned down his last two offers, Dariush and Covington. The other Dariush fight was scrapped by the organization. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.